Welcome to Global Grandmother Council Network, Tending Our Roots. I'm here with Kelley Springer, who is a dear friend and wisdom keeper. Her voice of wisdom speaks to my heart.
Mhm.
Kelley guides individuals into their own healing through many aspects, multidimensional ways. She's a musician. She plays the harp, sings, and drums. She's been trained by many indigenous shamans. Her own healing practice goes deep with people, very deep. This is an inner transformational service that she offers from the highest realms and the depths of Mother Earth. Kelley will guide you and nurture you. And I'm really pleased to bring through her presence and lovewisdompower.org, her organization. So welcome, Kelley.
Hi, thank you. It's such an honor. And thank you for introducing me, Mayana. That was lovely. Yes, I'm Kelley Springer, butterfly woman with Love, Wisdom, Power, Paths to Wholeness. That is the name of my healing practice. I've been an intuitive guide, healer, artist, musician, and storyteller for the last 33 years. I'm a grandmother, a mother of three, and six grandkids. And I'm happy to be here to talk about tending our roots. To me, the roots are everything. I could have never made it to becoming a healer or anything in my life if it wasn't for mine. And my ancestors to me are everything to me in my journey. And my roots guided me there to really learn how to know myself. I had to meet my ancestors. They were the most help in guiding me through the most intense pain in my journey, in my lifetime. I was realizing in my own healing work that I was trying to figure something out, something deep, and I didn't know what it was. Sometimes you have a knowing about your pain. Sometimes you don't. And for me, it was a real hidden thing. So it was like, what am I trying to heal? And I had a lot of people reflecting things to me. So I knew I had something deep going on. And so my journey was all about getting to my deep self, finding my own depth, getting inside to find Kelley. And I remember meeting my ancestors and having so much love from them about where I was headed. When I was meeting my ancestors, they were like really strong. When I went on my first vision quest, I wasn't trained to journey. I was with a teacher who taught vision questing, and he would prepare people for 6 weeks to go sit and listen to spirit. And when I met him, he was like, "Hey, you guys, come on. My last group, they're going this Saturday." And I was in my second class with him. I'd only met him twice. And he was like, "Come on, come questing this next weekend." And my ancestors were like tugging at my shirt. You're going, you're going. And so I went. And they prepared me that week. They got me ready. So I listened to them and I learned from them what I needed to do to get ready to be out on the journey. And they prepared me, got me out of self-pity, got me feeling, more aware and settled and quiet inside myself. So I started to listen more and pay attention in a different way. I noticed a big difference between paying attention from my head versus paying attention from my heart. So they got me down in my heart where I could pay attention. And I began my journey with them and learned a lot about how to pay attention to things and notice things. And in that vision quest that day, I met myself. I met my higher self, and I had never been able to do that in meditation before. But that day, that's who I met. And so my ancestors got me to my higher light in my ability to listen to my higher consciousness. And that higher consciousness became my ally. Over the years, I developed a lot of awareness about integration and what it meant to be whole. And I began to map it, and I could really cipher it. And I got a lot from listening to nature. My favorite place to connect was out in nature itself, being in the forest or sitting with trees. And out when I was doing deep immersive listening with nature is where I learned the most. I learned things from the spirits of the forest, even. I remember one day standing in this grove of redwood trees in California, and I suddenly looked over and there was this ginormous tree with a huge root ball. It had like 5 trees that had grown together to make this big, giant root. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I took a picture of it. And then when I looked at the picture, there was light and a face in the roots, but the sun was on the other side of it. And I was like, what is going on? This can't be possible. Where is this coming from? So I'm like looking at it, wondering, oh my goodness, what just happened? Who's there? So I listened and I sat with this tree and I heard the spirit of the forest. And this being was like, I'm the guardian here. And I was like, wow, hi. And he said, you can travel through the roots of the trees and journey up the hill. And you're going to see clusters of trees. And when you see them clustered, climb inside and listen. And he said, these are ancestral, these are your antennas to the spirit world. So as I was climbing through these trees, I would reach a greater place. So it was really interesting how he spoke that. And he said, oh, bring your student with you and take her as far as she wants to go. And I thought, okay. I didn't tell her anything he said. I just said, hey, let's go in here and meditate. So we did. And every time we went higher and higher, we went from the forest to the whole earth to the solar system. And we were climbing like galactically, every group of trees going higher. And the guardian had said, you know, when you get to the top of the mountain, you can just reach up to source. You go to source. And I was like, wow. So about halfway up the mountain, this young woman said, I can't go any further. And I was like, okay. It's like, I'm full. So she let me know. And I was like, oh, that was so beautiful. What a lesson from the trees. So our roots can be allied by trees, and we can do deep listening and learn so much from them. And so whenever I run into the forest and I see hollowed out trees, I step inside of them when it feels right, and I listen. And I'm able to see the song lines or the ley lines or connect to the spirits in the forest when I step inside of trees. Even fairies or devas, the plant spirits have voices and can speak to us. So learning how to listen has been a big part of the journey, and paying attention with awareness is a practice. And we have to decide to practice it, you know? And you have to actually do it. You have to be practicing listening. And I found that a lot of people struggle with that. So my grandfathers and my ancestors, I have several native ancestral roots. I have Cherokee, Choctaw, a little Apache, but I'm also Celtic and Swedish and Scottish, and I have all the Scotch-Irish blood, Welsh, probably a lot of European, you know. So all of that makes me in my roots very diverse. So because I study all of these different traditions and all these different practices, and I was raised in Christianity, in a Southern Baptist religion, I learned those ways and those understandings, and I went looking for divinity in nature and multicultural practices. And I studied with 4 different shaman teachers, 2 women and 2 men. And over the years, I learned something beautiful from every one of them. But one of the most consistent things I learned was that every single person has their own experience, and they speak from their heart with their truth. And I learned to honor their truths. And I always got that reflected back to me from them. So my ancestors were teaching me that way. My living teachers were teaching me that way. And it became a big part of my practice with others. So when I meet people who come for healing, I know that I'm showing up to be their support, their guide, their listener, and co-listening with them. And in learning how to pay attention together, we get so much more confirmed in our experience. So many times when we're going in to practice something, for instance, in our listening, like when you're just learning to hear the voice of an ancestor, and it says something very clearly to you, and I hear it with you, it's been like this remarkable thing when a person experiences like this co-hearing together. And when we listen together, and we get confirmation like that, it makes it more real for us to be able to trust it. So I believe that by paying attention together, we learn to trust more. And I find that that was really true with our journeys when we go inward, deciding to heal, deciding to meditate. I practiced meditation and struggled with it for a long, long time. But my ancestors taught me a way to prepare my mind and my spirit for listening, and it changed the way that I could meditate. And if I hadn't had that instruction, going in to just meditate was difficult because I would be thinking about, 1,000 things on my mind for my day. And a lot of us can't just drop the mind chatter. So they taught me a whole practice for deep listening, and it changed the way I could pay attention. It changed the way I could hear spirits, and it helped me to be prepared for it. When you know how to quiet the mind, it becomes easier. So I was taught lessons from my ancestors of how to do that. And that made a big difference. And I found the same thing is true with inner work. Sometimes people come to me and they're like, I've been trying to work on this for a long time. It's not been easy. I can't seem to get to it. And so when we feel like we're trying very hard to reach something inside of us, and we're talking to our ancestors, we're meditating, and nothing's working, then I think that's when we need navigation support, because oftentimes the things that have tripped us up have set us up to be closed off for a reason. Sometimes it's our self-protection and survival. And so going in to work on things that have closed us off are not always something easy to break through on alone. And so I find that sometimes that is where we really need help tending our roots. Sometimes we need support. We can all use support. It's not like we're supposed to ever do everything alone. I don't think we're ever alone. I believe we're always spiritually surrounded by lots of support, lots of guides. But whether or not we're paying attention to them is another thing. And that's a choice. We can choose and decide to listen. We can choose and decide to pay attention, right? And give things our focus. So in time, I learned to pay attention, to discern. And my teachers were good at helping me learn to discern. My friend Lois Bluebird Colliard, one of my elder women teachers, once gave me a lesson about psychic powers and how not to invade people's personal space without asking. It's like, she said, it's like going into someone's underwear drawer without their permission. And she made me laugh a lot. So I appreciated that lesson, that, wow, we really have to honor people's space, not just their process, but also their personal space. And that our bodies are ours, our own territories belong to us, and that people shouldn't come into them without permission or without asking. So learning how to respect each other and pay attention to that was part of my journey with my ancestors and my living teachers. And I was so grateful because they gave me the things, the stepping stones for becoming a healer in a good way, so that I held people in respectful terms and I paid attention to their needs from a place of care. And it made me a better healer, is what I would say about that. So I'm grateful to my teachers my ancestors and all of those who helped me tend my roots, helped me find my way to my gifts. Yeah, what that was like. Yeah, it's really been helpful. I I've had my healing practice for 33 years, and during that time, my ancestors would have me doing things like I started collecting seaweed bulbs, and I had a whole bunch of them, and I wasn't sure what to do with them, and my grandfather just kept telling me, collect them, save those, save those. And I was collecting driftwood and I was collecting all kinds of little pebbles and I would collect things from nature, different types of colored sands. And all of these things became very useful. When one day, one of my children's teachers called me and she said, Kelley, I know you have native background and roots, and the children are making a potlatch gift. And I was wondering if you could help with making their gift with them. And that's when my grandfather said, let's make rattles, eh? And so I was like, yay. So I pulled out all the stuff I'd been collecting and I looked at it and he and I sat and meditated and I listened to him and in a few moments we had a ceremony. And so I took the children through 3 days of rattle making. The first day we would collect all those pieces of sand and all those little things and we put them inside the seaweed bulbs and we'd listen to them. And the children would make rattles out of all of the little pieces of pebbles and different types of sand and different colors of dirt that I collected on my prayer walks. Everything was a walking prayer. And so watching the children pull all the pieces together to make the voice of the rattle come to life was so much fun. And on the second day, we would put them all together and add painting on them. They could paint them. On the third day, they would add beads and feathers or fur to finish them. And so on day three, they finished the rattles. And that journey of making rattles with children turned into something I never expected. The teacher asked me to go to their potlatch giveaway ceremony, and I met the person who ran the event, and I wound up being guided to um, teach the children how to do the giveaway ceremony for that event. And then I got asked to be the storyteller. So for 8 years, I was the ceremonial leader and storyteller for the Potlatch Waldorf event. And every year I would dream a story for the opening night to bring us into tribal connection with each other. It's a big part of what I believe we need in our world is to be able to know how to connect, not just with ourselves, but to nature and to life around us and to each other. How do we listen more? How do we pay attention to each other, and what that is really about? So, over the years, doing healing work that way and working with children that way, it's become a big part of my teaching in life to guide people through listening. And in the last 2 years, I was teaching classes with Divine Mother and elementals that way. And I'm at a new stage for the last several months. This last quarter of the year was very deep. It felt like it was pulling everybody to their core. I don't know if you felt it, but I did. This particular year this fall has just felt very deep. And I remember reaching out to Mayana a lot during this time because I was in such a cocoon and I kept questioning it, like, am I doing the right thing right now? And she kept saying, yeah, you're good, you're good. And I was so grateful to you, Mayana, during those moments because I was like, sometimes we are listening, we were being guided, and sometimes we doubt what we're doing, we question it. And I think that's healthy.
Absolutely. And we were a help for each other. It was mutual as we were both going through these intense experiences and both working with the grandmothers. We've been able to tend our roots together, and that's been a real treasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. And it's been really helpful. So I think it's awesome that we have each other. And I have really developed a love for being able to guide people in their inner journeys. I love I love doing that work with people. It brings me total happiness and joy to guide people to their hearts and to assist people in finding their treasure inside of themselves. I call it finding your diamond. I believe our soul light is so rich. And I've always believed that there's so much more to us than what we see on the surface of our life. We have an inner knowing. All of us have a library. I believe that our past lives and our journeys through existence have given us a wealth of knowledge that sits inside the soul. And when you don't know how to make it to that, you miss out on so much knowing from within yourself. And so, learning how to teach people to go and find their way to wholeness has been for me all about that. Wanting people to know the rich treasure that they can allocate to themselves when they know how to reach in and find it. And so I've been very successful in my practice guiding people to do this and find their way home. I've even worked with Mayana and a few others in that regard. Hang on a second. So I wanted to share, when I started realizing that I had a map, that I had a process that I could take people through, that my journey through my roots and my own integration had taught me. I was looking for what to call it. What do you say about this? And I really listened and I talked to my spiritual helpers and guides. And one of my guides are the angelic family of the butterfly people. And they were like, it's the song of returning. It's the song of returning. And I was like, wow, I love that. And that makes sense that it's about coming home to who you are. And so I called my process that in my practice. And so teaching the song of returning to people individually has been my work and my gift and my service. And helping people find their way to their inner council, their archetypal map that plugs you into that soul of knowing I was talking about. So deep inside of us, we have this incredible vault, this incredible amount of knowledge that lives already taught, already understood, already aware. And this incredible treasure trove is your deepest gift you can ever give to yourself. And so, and a lot of times we call it finding your purpose, but to me, it's so much more than that. There are purposeful things we're going to do in our life. There are purposeful things that we're going to come and arrive at. But being able to access your vault to remove and receive information from it and treasure from it for the rest of your life is like having a living library that never goes away. So I love being able to take people to that. I mean, think about arriving at something that rich, that phenomenal, that's yours, that nobody gives you, that you have. And so for me, the work of guiding others became about empowerment. It's really about teaching people to know and trust themselves, to believe in who they are, and to find their way to their treasure. So I've been very successful with the Song of Returning, guiding people home. And so I've loved being able to share it. And I've found that people who have even been healers for a long time oftentimes come to me and they find stuff they've never gotten to, never reached, never even thought they had in there. Like, oh, there's something there I didn't know. Wow. And I think it's remarkable to be able to guide people to their hidden treasure, the gift inside.
I can testify to that.
Here. Thank you. Mayana. Yeah, Mayana found some treasure, didn't you? Yeah.
I did. And it's been a joy. Yeah. I just wanted to pop that in that yes, I testify to that. And
Amen.
now you have some work coming out. You have an offering for the grandmothers for solstice, and
Oh,
then
good.
yeah, tell
Yeah,
us
yeah.
about that.
Awesome. Yes. So, to offer you a deep listening experience with me guiding us, I'm going to be doing a winter solstice event, and it's called the White Rose Immersive Journey. So, it's a solstice journey to listen and meditate together and take a journey. And I'm going to be working with harp and drum and rattle music, taking us through. And then we're going to have a time of sharing. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 12 Pacific time and through live on Zoom. And we'll record it and I'll be happy to share it with all of you. And it's free. Anyone's welcome to come. And I also am starting to train healers in the Song of Returning. I am beginning to teach. So that was my big deep dive this fall, to take time to listen and go in. And that cocoon time for me was about finding my way to, like, it's time for you to teach now. And I'm 63 years old. It's time to start teaching what I've learned and share the wisdom. So I'm super excited. And so my logo here is for Love, Wisdom, Power are the symbols of my Cherokee Nation people. The white phoenix, the white rose, alignment, the seven chakras, working with the seven sisters, and the tree of life and our roots. All of that play a part in the journey of the work I teach. And my new logo here is the White Rose Sanctuary, which is the path of the rose lines, the working with the divine mother. And I'm going to be teaching healers who want to start their own gifts and working as healing ministers. So it's going to be an ordained program, and I'm finishing the development of it right now. And that's going to be appearing on my website in the first of the year. And I'll begin training in the end of January. And I also have a course I'm offering to do journey work for anybody who wants to deepen in their own awareness and divinity. And that's going to be on my website as well. That event is for January 11 to February 22, and it's 7 weeks. So check out my website, lovewisdompower.org. And I'm also a nonprofit underneath Peace Productions. And I'm so grateful to be a nonprofit that has really opened the door for my school and my educational step to happen. And Mayana and Peace Productions really helped me to make that leap. So I'm grateful to be here and to be offering that now. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's so wonderful that we get to work together in so many different ways and in so many different aspects to just lift each other up and support each other. And you make my work better and I make your work easier, or easier, not better, but easier for each other. I appreciate that. It's been a
Yeah,
joy.
thank
So
you.
the best way for people to reach you is through your website?
Yeah, you can reach me through my website or my Facebook page. You can reach out to me on Messenger, through the grandmothers. More than, any of that is fine, but my website's the easiest way to contact me. And my contact information is on my website. Yeah, further. You're more than welcome to call. There's a phone number there and a way to reach out.
Thank you so much, Kelley. Thank you for helping us tend our roots together and for that companionship, because every little root tendril is connected to every other root tendril, and my tendrils and your tendrils and all of your tendrils connect together through the mycelium of communication.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.